Avalanche Podcast. We got Rudo and AJ coming to you live on a Friday at the end of July. Look, I think we've talked a lot about the Avs defense in terms of Devon Toews, in terms of Cale Makar. On the other end, guys like Jack Johnson, guys like Sam Malinsky even. I don't think we've talked a ton about Bowen Byram. And there's a very real possibility that he ends up becoming a significant part of this defense. I mean, he's already a significant part, but we could be talking a key piece for the Colorado Avalanche for the foreseeable future, let alone this coming year. AJ, let me start here. Can Bowen Byram have a healthy season? Can we start there?
I mean, in theory, yes. In reality,
we'll see. Yeah.
A little bit of something Byram needs to accomplish this year.
Yep. If you're looking for reasonable goals, that would certainly be one for Bo. There are still plenty of things up in the air, obviously, with this defense. Devon Toews on the last year of his deal. Will he stay? Will he end up going to free agency? That decision could have a significant impact on where Byram projects going forward with Colorado. Obviously, if Toews walks, it seems pretty easy to slot him in on the top pair next to Cale Makar. If he doesn't walk, we'll see how Toews plays, but it's safe to say it's difficult to break up Makar and Toews if they're together, AJ.
Yeah, I mean, you are talking what Devon Toews has been over the last handful of years, since he got to Colorado, to be honest. He has been a top 12 defenseman in the entire NHL. They have one of the absolute strongest top pairings in the entire league.
Yep.
And that, I think it's very, very hard to break that up, especially like when you get into a postseason and it's just like, well, there's something to be said for balancing out your lineup a little bit and moving a guy as good as Toews to a second pairing. Especially when you have a really, really good second pairing between Girard and Byram, you can mix and match pretty freely and have a second pairing that would be top pairing caliber on a number of teams, maybe even a third of the league.
Yep.
So, you do have that temptation, especially with Byram as young as he is, and you want to see him kind of step into step into a bigger role, a higher impact role. To be honest, if he does that this upcoming season, the conversation surrounding re-signing Devon Toews gets harder because Byram's only on a 2-year deal, and if that guy has the kind of big season that he's capable of, giving $8 or $9 million to Devon Toews for the foreseeable future could make it very hard to afford Bowen Byram moving forward. So, I should say moving forward one more time. It's really going to be a fascinating development for Byram this year because they have hitched their wagon to his future with Cale Makar.
Yeah,
but. Whew, I mean, I think it's probably one of those X factors this year, beyond health, obviously. But in a lineup full of question marks and obvious risk and reward all over the lineup, if he stays healthy, he needs to take a real step forward because his on ice results have not been good enough the last couple of years. They just haven't been good enough.
Sure.
We've seen flashes of them, but his bad games,
it's fair.
He still needs to develop more than anything. He needs to develop the consistency in his own end, because when we've seen Byram at his best, he absolutely rules defensively. But when he is not having very good nights, he very quietly, and his age being one of the reasons, And just him happy having him in the lineup is another one, I'm sure. But when he has a tougher night, he very quietly hemorrhages scoring chances and specifically high danger chances. That's a really big concern. Um, I know Gerard gets from the fan base. Gerard gets the burn for he's useless in front of his net and he can't move anybody. But Byram gives up more scoring chances and high danger chances at a higher rate than Gerard does. So it's a concern that's an area of his game that needs to start to develop.
What is the projected role there for Byram? Because in a world where he's playing on your top pair, in a world where Taves maybe is gone, does he have to play both sides of special teams? Is he your second unit power play guy and one of your key penalty killers?
At the moment, I think that he probably is.
Okay.
If Jack Johnson and Josh Manson are there, they have to be valuable PK guys. Because if those guys can't PK for you, I mean, girl, what are
they doing?
Yeah. Yeah. So, and then Devon Taves has been one of the very best PK defensemen in the NHL the last couple of years. So,
yep.
I think you've got three of them right there. That fourth one, though, I would I would probably prefer Byram, but very quietly, we've talked about this before. I don't know if it's my first choice, but we've seen Gerard produce really solid on ice results.
Yep.
As a PK guy, and Byram has not. So I think for right now, I would say I would like to see him in that role. Yeah, doing both. I also think that it's good preparation for him as a top pairing defenseman. If he's playing on the second units, it's not an unreasonable ask for him to just increase that time on top units if he kind of ascends into that Devon Taves role. Whereas if he's not playing on that unit, it might be a bigger ask to move forward and say, hey, we want you to
all of a sudden you're playing 4 minutes a night on the PK. Yeah,
exactly. So I do think that this is one of those all situations type of players that you really do want to be comfortable every second or third shift. You want to throw that guy over the boards. Hey, go get him, man.
When you look at Byram's role at 5-on-5, how do you end up describing that? Because you look at a Taves, and realistically, he's the defensive guy on the Makar pairing, right? Makar's the guy who has free reign to do whatever the hell he wants, but Taves still finds a way to be a 50-point guy on that line, right? So,
I mean, Devon Taves has plenty of full send in his game.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's weird to call him the defensive guy on that line, but it's true. Is that something that you can reasonably expect Byram to get to over the course of the next season? Can he become a guy that is reliable enough to put next to Makar in all situations?
That happening would be, I think, transformational for Colorado's, certainly this year while they have Devon Taves.
Yeah.
But for the future, being able to essentially replace Devon Taves with a younger model and maybe a higher end one, because I still think that there's plenty of belief, certainly between the two of us, that at his absolute best, Bowen Byram is a top 10 defenseman in the NHL.
If he peaks, I don't know if he'll win one, but he'll get a significant number of Norris votes in his career.
Yeah, I do think that as great as Devon Taves has been, seeing the support that he has, you can already see the Cale Makar effect of people will take away credit. It has already happened in our own chat.
Yep.
People will take away some of Devon Taves' credit, or maybe not take away, but question how good he really is playing next to Cale Makar. Is this a product of playing next to such a special player? where it's kind of a side swipe at how special that guy has been on his own. Because Devon Toews has been elite, and we think that, you know, where Bowen Byram's career should be headed.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
I mean, I don't think it's unreasonable to believe that he ends up as a Miro Heiskanen caliber of player, where he's not quite as good. He's not quite as good as Makar, but he's fantastic.
Yep. Not transcendent, but definitely elite.
Yeah, and that I would say that, this next generation of defensemen, you're looking at. I think it's going to be Cale Makar and Adam Fox as
at the top trading notices.
Guys. Yeah, and then maybe Rasmus Dahlin breaks into that this year, but then after that, it's Dahlin and Heiskanen and Quinn Hughes, on and on and on, and I think Byram should move into that caliber of conversation this season. That's what I'm looking for from him. Is this is not a guy, and like if he doesn't and he stays right about the same level that he's at, he's solid.
Yeah,
you're disappointed, but he's
perfectly fine on your second pair.
Yeah, like you end up with a good NHL defenseman, just not an elite one. But him taking that big step forward, oh my God. I mean, that's the kind of thing that keeps a team elite, because they find, everybody loves to talk about Tampa Bay, but they make their first cup run because of the triplets in 2015.
Yep.
It was such a revelation, and then these last cup runs, it's the rise of Braden Point and Anthony Cirelli that
Sergachev on the back end. Sure, yeah,
exactly. And so that's where you're with Byram. He helps just extend that out, that opportunity, that feeling of, okay, well, this elite player, he's so young. He may not fall off. We might have a decade of runway with this guy as an elite player. Next to a guy that's going to be in the Hall of Fame someday in Cale Makar, you're like, ooh, like, this is great.
Who, Cale Makar, by the way, also pretty young.
Yeah, we're not super concerned about his aging curve yet.
Yeah. So,
but that kind of top pairing, if you have that sort of certainty over the course of just say a decade, even if it's just like, conservatively, we'll just say it's 5 years. It can help manage the aging curve that we are going to start talking about with Nathan MacKinnon, and if his career does resume, Gabe Landeskog and Val Nichushkin, like those guys' aging curves, and because they are signed until the end of time, will be bigger topics of conversation moving forward every single season. Byram taking a big step forward helps mitigate whatever losses they might have from the aging out of those stars up front.
Well, and the way things are timed out with these contracts is Byram, and to a lesser extent Makar, he's a bit older, but also Makar should be hitting the primes of their careers as those forwards start to age out a little bit. So you may be getting the absolute best out of Makar and Byram as you start to fall off with guys like MacKinnon.
Yeah.
So it will be interesting to see exactly how that all lines up. This is a total tangent, but something I've been thinking about lately because I've been watching the World Cup. If there was a hockey World Cup, do all three of Makar, Toews, and Byram make Team Canada?
Right now, no.
Just Makar and Toews?
Yeah, okay. Certainly.
All right.
I would say that conversation a year from now could be very different, but to temper all the optimism, we said the same thing a year ago.
Yeah.
So, it's very important.
The results have to show. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the Bo show needs to slide into prime time.
There you go. Just tweet win every 7 hours on Twitter. That's how you become primetime, right? That's how that works. Anyway, we are brought to you by Breckenridge Distillery, who has done quite a bit of winning themselves when it comes to awards for their American whiskey. It's like 7 years in a row that they've won the best whiskey. So you should probably go try it because it's absolutely delicious. Their Breckenridge bourbon is the official bourbon of the Denver Broncos. They've been around since 2008. They call themselves the world's highest distillery because they're up in the mountains. And because it's in Colorado. I mean, we smoke a lot of weed here, but we'll go with the mountain conversation. They're most widely known, as I said, for their whiskey, but they do have plenty of other options, including vodkas and gins and things like that. So they have something for everybody. They're actually a 9-time winner of the best American blended whiskey at the World Whiskey Awards. So if there was a World Cup of whiskeys, they'd be winning it. The Breckenridge bourbon would be the Cale Makar of whiskeys, is what I'm trying to say. So go check them out if you haven't. Again, they're available across the country, so it's not just the Colorado thing. You can find them at your local liquor store, or you can go to BreckenridgeDistillery.com today and you get it delivered directly to your house. It's award-winning liquor delivered to your house. Check it out. Available in all 50 states today. Again, BreckenridgeDistillery.com to learn more about them, and put on your Shady Rays when you go up the mountain to enjoy Breckenridge Distillery. Sun's bright up there, so you're going to want to protect your eyes. Shady Rays has tons of different kinds of sunglasses, whether it be polarization, styles. If you're a skier, snowboarder, they even got goggles for you to wear. So go check them out at ShadyRays.com. Use the DNVR code when you check out, and you get 2. There you go. Yaya's wearing them. One of us came prepared today. You get 2 or more pairs of sunglasses from ShadyRays.com. Use the DNVR code. You get 50% off your entire order. So give that a go. There we go. I got the words out of my mouth on that one. ShadyRays.com, or if you're local, they have a brick and mortar in the Park Meadows Mall here in Colorado. Go check them out. They have over 250,000 people who have given them 5-star reviews. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. As you're starting to do the math on this defense, AJ, where do things start to shape up? Because you talked about Bowen Byram and Sam Girard as a second pairing. We've talked a lot about how, we'll see if the Avs decide to go with a Josh Manson, Jack Johnson third pairing, or if you would really like Jack Johnson as a number 7. How much opportunity should Bo have to hit some of these marks that we're talking about? Is this a full reins are off, Bo gets every opportunity in the world this year, or is he going to have to go out and earn some of that?
I mean, I think some of this will depend on how a guy like Taves does play. We saw more bad nights last year from Devon Taves than we had seen previously.
And so if there were 5 of them.
Right, but if that 5 turns into 10 year,
for sure.
Then, you do want to start to say, okay, we need, for those 10 nights, let's just say, let's talk about those 10 nights. What do you do? If you're Jared Bednar, and it's obvious from the first period that Devon Taves doesn't have the A game.
Yeah.
Do you break it up, and then do you give Byram that? Assuming Byram isn't also just throwing grenades all over the place. I think the obvious answer is you put Byram there, and you kind of use Byram as almost a top pairing safety blanket, or as your message to Devon Taves that he needs to wake the hell up, that he needs to find his game, because that's a valuable piece to have there, but it's not one. Coaches have guys like that constantly.
For sure. Yeah, you watch Bednar do it with his veteran fourth line all the time.
Exactly, but coaches all over the league always have, if you ask 32 fan bases, who is your head coach's safety blanket guy?
Yeah, that
he kind of just turns to. This year it'll be kind of interesting because JT Compher is gone.
Compher, yeah.
And so Jared Bednar's going to have to find a new one, and I'm really hoping the answer.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping the answer is not Andrew Cogliano. But it's with Byram, like, because he has the kind of ceiling that he does. I do think that he could serve in that kind of dual function of, yes, he does make your second pairing very good, but also if this dude's having a really good night and Taves isn't, or if he's just having one of those nights. You
Yep.
think back 2 years ago to that game against Columbus, where
Yep.
he just looked, he was so nasty, and then he had 2 goals in that game, or I think 2 points maybe.
Yeah, it was two goals. It was
It was 2 goals. Yeah,
he like dragged the Avs back into that game, and then they still lost
Yeah.
overtime. But
and that's going to be a big part of that value for Byram, I think, on the defensive end, is he can do that. Looking beyond it, I mean, I still think there should be some sort of temptation to go Gerard Manson, Byram Malinsky, something like that. Maybe, maybe swap Gerard and Byram there if you would like to. And
well,
have it
as we've talked about, the pairings are always fluid. It probably would be a better measure of saying, hey, you're giving Byram 18 minutes a night or whatever the number ends up being. But
yeah, that's just. I think that's like, if Jack Johnson is not the sixth guy and Sam Malinsky wins the job in camp or whatever, like, that could be a. That I think I'm almost interested in that, where you don't have a true, like, hard third pairing. We're going to throw these guys out for 14 or 15 minutes a night, and it's between, like you said, it's between 16 and 18 for 4 of these guys.
Yeah, you play the hot hand more on any given night, sure. I could see that. Honestly, at a certain point, you're almost asking Byram to develop into the guy that, no matter who you throw him out with in the bottom 4, he's the guy, right? And he kind of carries the depth of your defense for you, regardless of it's Jack Johnson or Sam Malinsky, doesn't matter.
Yeah, and I think if, next to Gerard, at the moment you're talking about equals.
Yeah, I would say for now.
But you are hoping that he just, continues on the upward trajectory.
Yeah, you would be lying to yourself if you didn't hope there was a higher ceiling there with Bo. What he actually gets to, of course, you have to wait and see. But since you brought it up, I do.
Yeah, but
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. I just wanted to bring up, since you're talking about Gerard and Byram as equals, I forget. Are you a fan of the 3D PP2? Or, yeah, you're fine with it?
Like, in lieu of a clearly better option. Last year they certainly didn't have better options.
Yeah.
I do think, assuming health in your top 9, you probably have a better option than that. I would like to see probably more of Gerard and Byram take it over from Taves a little bit.
Okay.
I would probably start to say I would like to see a little bit more of that balance in Taves' minutes. Take away some of that power play from him, but we saw last year with Makar out that Taves was the guy that moved up to the top power play. So I would say it probably isn't realistic.
Won't go that way.
As a personal preference, I would like to see it a little more. And the one thing I liked about the 3D alignment is that they used Byram essentially as a forward. He didn't, they moved him down on the half wall and set him up for one-timers. And it was not like they had like 3 out high or whatever. So, I like that because it does kind of build around what Byram, I think, is probably best at on the blue line behind Makar, which is his shot.
Second best
better
shooter
than anybody else's.
Agree.
So
His one-timer might actually be better than Makar's, to be honest with you. But
yeah, I mean, I think there's a real possibility that Makar doesn't score on very many one-timers, so um, it's not really his bag.
yeah.
So I think that's certainly I think that's fair.
So it's you're kind of getting into this conversation that gets hard to shake out exact roles for everyone on the Avs defense below Cale Makar. Because yes, you have Devon Taves, who's Makar's pairing mate. You're just running with that until he has an off night, and then we'll see.
Yeah.
You're running probably Girard and Byram unless you want to switch it up and throw Manson up there. You don't even know if Jack Johnson will be in the lineup. You don't. It could be Sam Malinsky. It feels like there's going to be a lot of fluidity this year beyond the in-game Bednar mixes up the pairings. It feels like on any given night, any of these dudes could be the guy that they're relying on. Is there a limit to that? At a certain point, does it become the Alex Newhook conversation where it feels like you never really gave someone an option to find stability in their game? Or do you think this is all stuff that these guys can handle?
I think it's all stuff that they can handle. I mean, I think that just being a part of a 6-person defense instead of a 12-person,
It's a whole lot less people, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, like it just makes it makes finding a role and finding a rhythm, and especially the way that they use the defensemen, where they, Bednar and Pratt so frequently will mix and match combinations throughout games, where you'll see at some point everybody plays with everybody except for the one pairing, that gets 6 seconds of ice time or whatever.
Yeah.
Something silly. But yeah, no, I think that it's a group that can handle it. Whether even if that's I think they can handle it.
Yeah. This question is kind of weird, but we've seen, and all right, let me preface this first. Georgiev played very, very well for Colorado last year. I think they're pretty happy with what they got out of him. Now that there's a full year of him in the Avs systems, does there start to be more adjustments? Is there more of Georgiev saying, hey, I want my defenseman to be doing this, that, and the other thing? Do you start cleaning up some of that?
No, I think that happened.
It's already done?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what we talk about the adjustment for goaltenders, and we always say, hey, by December, or sorry, by January, like you should really start to be, what you're doing. You've played games now, especially for a starter. With Francouz having another decent length injury stint last year, Georgiev ended up getting pushed into probably more games. Probably more games than the Avalanche were expecting, and so I think that stuff has been ironed out.
Okay.
Especially because all of the defensemen who are going to be on certainly Colorado's top 7 right now, counting Curtis McDermott, were around for a significant enough chunk of last season.
Yep.
That I think that's all ironed out. And if their only adjustment is sliding in Sam Malinsky or a Brad Hunt, Hunt even was here last year enough, or a Gianni Fairbrother, then we'll see.
Is there some damage limitation that can be done there? Can the Avs do a better job of not getting themselves stuck with the Sam Girard having to try and win a net front battle, things like that they can improve upon?
No.
It's just going to happen sometimes. Yeah.
I think it's just how the game works. Jesus.
Yeah. Yaya zooming in on AJ's forehead for a second.
Yeah,
there.
that was really intense. No, I think that's just the nature of the game, man. Sam Girard's just gonna lose those battles, and he has to. If I'm Sam Girard, I go back and I watch the film from last year, and I say, holy shit, there were a lot of goals scored from way out high that I couldn't do a lot more about. But maybe the one thing he should be trying to consistently work on a little bit more is trying to tie a stick up and not provide as many opportunities for tips. There
Yeah.
weren't a ton of those goals last year, but
Yeah, I agree.
you're looking to try and min-max your game in any way you can. So I would say that would be the next step for Gerard. Is he's not ever going to
Yeah.
be able to
He's too
outmuscle guys.
small.
He's not going to push
Yeah.
anybody around. It's just not going to happen. So I think the next thing for him is, hey, the same way that he has his entire life. You know, he knows he's not going to win very many board battles by bodying guys. So he became a master with the stick. You know, he's a very, very effective player. You know, poking pucks loose and, you know, lifting sticks. You know, the little things like that. He's great at that craft. He just needs to probably add that element a little more consistently in front of his own net, and then he needs to get a little luckier this year. Because
I think
last
the
year,
Avs in general could do with a bit more luck this year.
I mean, in Gerard in particular, when I wrote the piece on him last year, it was really eye-opening for me to go back and look at it and just say
how cursed it was. Yeah.
Yeah, like you can look at it and like there are certainly some cases where you're like, wow, Sam, like that's not good. That's bad hockey. Like you earned that goal against, but there, you know, the people that were obsessed with his plus minus could never accept the fact that
there are plenty of situations where Ben Myers is punching the puck into his own net.
like there was an element of randomness that was really hurting him, and when I put together that compilation of all the goals against, what you noticed was, look how many goals are being scored from out high, where you're looking at Alexander Georgiev and you're like, really, man?
Yep.
Like you're letting in wrist shots from the point that aren't being tipped.
Yeah.
So, you know, things like something like that. To answer your original question, nah, man. I mean, that's just you're just gonna have to live with some of that. Georgiev's just gonna have to get a little better at that part of the game.
I do want to continue the conversation of evolution of games though, and get back to Byram.
Yeah,
I think maybe the one thing that you were talking a lot about last season that the Avs were lacking at times was physicality because of the injuries to Josh Manson. He wasn't able to provide that aspect. Is this a role that Bowen Byram can step into a little bit? Can he add a level more physicality to his game to be, you know, I don't want to call it an intimidating presence, but the type of guy that dudes look up and they don't want to chase down the wall to go after a puck against?
Yeah, like Bowen Byram's never going to be like a Nikita Zadorov type of presence on your blue line, but I don't even know that he'll ever get to a Josh Manson level where Josh Manson knows his strength is in his ability to just physically wear guys down, to accost opposing players.
Yeah.
But I think Byram is more of like your I think he's just kind of a prick on the ice, you know, where he
more pesty than like actual physically abusive.
Like he's got a little bit of that. He's just got a little bit of that. Like he's gonna chip away at your sanity.
Lots of needling going on. Yeah.
But he also like, yeah, like if you put yourself into a position, like he'll rock your shit, dude. Like he's the one thing about Byram and Makar is they're not known for their physicality, but they're not afraid of it.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you go and you look at their NHL careers, there is a decent little compilation, a decent little highlight reel that you could build of them just bodying fools.
Yep.
So like I think that's an area of Colorado's defense that at health is a little underrated.
Sure.
Because Devon, you know, like Devon Taves can be physical and is a physical guy along the wall,
but he doesn't blow people up. Yeah,
right. Like he's not. Colorado doesn't have their closest thing to that like classic old school enforcer is Josh Manson for sure. Yeah, but outside of Gerard, and especially if we're talking McDermott and Jack Johnson, all of the guys, all of the non-Sam Girard defenders on the blue line have an element of physicality that is present in their games
Certainly
on a
perfectly
consistent
capable
basis.
of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and they aren't. It's not a soft defense. It's not an easy defense to play against between their willingness to engage and then their skill level. It's not an easy group to go up against.
Yeah.
You know, the Gerard is really the one guy where you're like, hey, physically he's overmatched. So do you want 6 Sam Gerards? No.
But one is just fine. Yeah.
Yeah, one is fine. You might even get away with 2 if one of them is like super skilled. You know, like a Quinn Hughes, like that kind of guy.
I mean, I think it'll be an interesting conversation with Sam Malinsky there, if and when he does get opportunity. Not that he's like tiny, but I don't think there's going to be a big physical aspect to his game.
Yeah, and I think that could be one of the concerns that Colorado would have with putting him into that lineup on a regular basis is.
Yep. Is your bottom 4 too small now? Yeah.
Yeah, like you do worry a little about it getting a little samey, and you don't ever like to make yourself easier to play against.
For sure.
In that way. Now, I think the skill level difference between a guy like a Sam Malinsky and a Curtis McDermott could be large enough that it's totally worth it.
If your other option is your defenseman just gets turnstiled every time down the ice, then
yeah, and this is where, you know, Megan mentioned it on yesterday's show, but this is where Keaton Middleton would be a guy that might have a priority as a call up if Malinsky ends up in the AHL with the Eagles. And it becomes call-up time. You know, if Josh Manson is the guy who's hurt, you may not want Sam
pretty
Malinsky
easy to see how Middleton fills that role. Yeah,
exactly, because you are afraid of replacing the one really ultra physical guy that you have in your defense with the guy that won't do it at all.
Yeah,
but you know, the question of, well, which guy is just a better player? At some point we'll come into it. You're not just going to sit there and obsess so much about physicality, but it is one of those things, you know, in a postseason series. You look at I think the St. Louis Blues are a really good example of this, because where they have gone wrong is that they made a defense that's just too easy to play against.
Yep.
It's not necessarily that they're all bad players, but you know,
it's just
Nick
you look
Leddy
up and Justin Falk doesn't scare you if you're a forward coming into the offensive zone, right? You just don't care about that guy.
Exactly. Like Justin Falk's a good player, and Nick Leddy was a good player before he got old and bad. But like, those are guys that forwards, especially high end forwards, are looking up and licking their chops to play against.
Torrey Krug to a little bit lesser extent, but same thing, yeah.
I mean, Torrey Krug certainly is that way, and one thing that Krug has always been able to do is, despite his size, he brings an element of feistiness where, hey, that guy, you know, that guy, he's small and you can body him, but
he's not going to
catch
make
him
it free
on the right day. And that's we haven't talked about him, but in the so we're talking about this year's team, but moving forward, Torrey Krug is the kind of guy that you're hoping Sean Behrens becomes. You know, that undersized guy with that ultra high level of competitiveness.
Got that fire. Yep.
Exactly. Where he might be small, but that guy will engage. He absolutely will. So that's, you know, I do think if you get when you get further into Colorado's defensive depth, that is it's an interesting element.
Are the Avs just building a defense where the rite of passage for Sam Malinsky and Sean Behrens has to be fighting Alex DeBrincat? Is that the...
Yes. Absolutely. When Gulyayev comes over in 2 years, that should also be a thing. They should, like, that guy, when Detroit comes to town, they should be like, okay, you see the little fella out there?
Go get him. He's your...
We're gonna need you to body that guy, and then you can be on the team for realsies.
That's the price you have to pay.
Yeah, until then, you have to carry all the bags and sticks and everything. All the rookie hazing, you know, the legal and non-crazy rookie hazing. can take place, but when you beat up Alex DeBrincat, it's all good. You're part of the team.
You're in.
Yeah.
Blood in, blood out for the Colorado Avalanche. Confirmed.
A lot of blood out of Alex DeBrincat specifically.
Well, while you're at it, make sure you're bodying a burrito for lunch from Illegal Pete's.
Nice.
Go check them out. They got delicious burritos, fresh ingredients every single day. They also have a great happy hour from 3 to 8 p.m. You can get margaritas that are to die for. I don't even like tequila, and their margaritas are good. That's
Same.
how good they are. So, yeah, get over it. Anyway, Illegal Pete's, delicious stuff. Great patios to enjoy on the days when it doesn't rain here, which is some days now. Not every day, but some days at least. It's not. Denver isn't the lost city of Atlantis anymore, at least. Go check them out. Illegal Pete's, delicious burritos, 11 different locations. One just a couple blocks from the DNVR bar, where we are enjoying our watch-alongs of the World Cup. I don't know. The U.S. should win their next game. That's my vote. Also,
Against Portugal?
Just moving on.
Please.
Just moving on. Also brought to you by FOCO. You can get all of your sports merchandise, licensed apparel, all that good stuff from FOCO. Obviously, the big seller right now are the bobbleheads from the Nuggets championship, but of course, you can also get Avalanche ones as well, Nuggets ones, Broncos ones. Even if you're not from Colorado, you get whatever team you root for as ones. They've got pretty much every team in the country. When you go to FOCO.com, you can use code DNVR to get 10% off and free shipping for whatever you order. If you're into Crocs or Snuggies or whatever they're called, shirt, hoodie, blankets, I don't know what they're called. They're dope things that you throw on your body when you want to be lazy and enjoy the couch. They're like half hoodie, half blanket. I don't know. You can get those. Check them out. FOCO.com. It's the way to go to get your enjoyable merchandise for whatever sports team it is you follow. Be sure to use the DNVR code. Again, FOCO.com. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche Podcast. Realistically, the Avs defense, number 2, number 1? Is Carolina's better, AJ?
I think so.
Yeah.
Certainly with the uncertainty of with the uncertainty of, is Jack Johnson really going to be
the sixth guy?
Your third pairing, opening it up. I'm not entirely sure what Carolina's obsession with Tony DeAngelo is.
It's a weird one.
It's a little odd, but no, I do think their defense is probably better than Colorado's on
paper, at least.
On the whole, I think I like it more. I think other defenses that I think are quite good. Vegas has a very good defense. I think that's probably their secret sauce that doesn't get talked about a lot. There's a lot of talk about Jack Eichel, Mark Stone, and the misfits, all that shit. But their defense is, I think, really the big driver of that success for them.
You've always loved Zach Whitecloud, that's for sure.
I mean, he's really good. So I also think that Boston's defense, losing Dmitry Orlov might take it down a level.
That hurts.
But
yeah,
they are. Boston's defense is really, really good.
Let me ask you this then: can anyone in the Central's defense compete with Colorado's?
I think the two teams that you look at, Minnesota may not have a Cale Makar-like force
level talent, sure.
But between Jared Spurgeon and Jonas Brodin, they have two extremely good defensive defensemen. And then Jacob Middleton has been a big-time revelation for them. We made fun of that trade when they made it, and that trade looks fantastic for them and terrible for San Jose. So that's and then with Kalen Addison, who I like, and this is Brock Faber's first year, I think Minnesota's got the goods for a really strong defense, and then you do look at Dallas, Miro Heiskanen. Like I said earlier, that is about as close to a Cale Makar talent as you can actually expect to get out of a human being.
Dude's a number one on 24 teams in the league.
I'll say it was very nice this week. I don't know if you were paying attention to the hearings in Congress about the fact that UFOs, are a thing.
They exist,
aliens,
yeah.
Like aliens are totally a thing. It was really nice of them to not specifically name Cale Makar so that we didn't have all that extra attention. But we all know what's up.
Yep.
And in Dallas, they have about as good as you can do in terms of an actual human being on Earth in Miro Heiskanen. And like Esa Lindell has always been really good. I've always been a really big Yanni Hakanpää fan. The decline from Ryan Suter in the postseason is a big
concerning.
Concern.
Yeah, it's concerning
for them. If that continues, or if it was just a bad month, as we've seen can happen, that's fine. But if that's real decline and that becomes the norm, Dallas's defense is going to take a pretty big step back because as solid with the puck as they are, neither Niles Lundqvist nor Thomas Harley are really going to replace that element.
I don't think Thomas Harley's any good just generally, but
okay. I mean, hey, everybody's allowed to be wrong every now and then. So, and then. I think a really underrated defense, not in Colorado, maybe not quite on Colorado's caliber, because again, not having a Cale Makar type of top player,
it hurts you, yeah.
But the Islanders are very, very good 1 through 6.
Yeah,
so
I mean they've always had good defensive depth.
I think that they are. I think the Islanders are more deep than. Have that high end.
I agree.
But it's like if you have a low end top pairing and then 2 second pairings, you're pretty good. Like your defense is pretty good.
Yeah, it worked for Seattle in the playoffs.
See, I mean Seattle's another defense that I think you could say is one that you have a lot of respect for.
Sure.
I think Seattle's is in kind of a prove it, especially with Vince Dunn.
I agree, but he's got to do it again. But
yeah, and but Alexiak, Larson, and Dumoulin are guys who have just been like rocking and rolling, doing
very established guys. Yep. So
yeah, and you lose my Bay Carson Soucy, but you replace him with Brian Dumoulin. I think you did pretty good work.
Yeah.
I don't know why you didn't just sign Carson Soucy, but whatever.
It was a weird choice for sure, but is what it is. We do have one super chat.
The way it ultimately played out was certainly strange. Sorry, go ahead.
No, we got one super chat to get to here. That's all. $5 from Jake, who says, "Love it when you two take time out of your day to make mine better. Can't wait for another exciting season with y'all." I mean, we love it when y'all support us since we do this 5 days a week, even in the off season, like crazy people.
That is a very generous interpretation of us doing the podcast.
Yep.
I like that. Yeah.
We did get a second one from Tyler here that says, if Malinsky can make the jump this year with Guyev being compared to Girard, is there a world where Girard gets traded to keep Taves? Yes. I think it's very easy to look at the Avalanche roster right now, and if they decide they need cap space, Girard's name's got to be near the top of the list.
To be honest with you, the first half of that question is totally irrelevant to the second half.
Yeah, I agree. Yep.
The world of the entire Girard-Taves dynamic does not hinge at all on Sam Malinsky, Sean Behrens, or Mikhail Guyev.
I mean, just look at the 2 contracts, right? Taves is making a little over 4. Girard's making 5. You'd love to get Taves re-signed under 9, but 9 is probably that break point number that you're talking about in those negotiations.
Yeah, the the Avs right now, assuming a $4 million cap jump, the Avs have about $11 million in cap space right now.
Yeah.
And that would be, they would need to replace 4 forwards because Cogliano, Drouin, Myers, and Olofsson are all free agents of some kind next year.
Yep.
And, obviously some of that math, like, hey, they may not need to replace those guys. And then obviously Taves, but also McDermott, Jack Johnson are also free agents next year that they would have to replace. Yep. And Pavel Francouz is a free agent. So, and all of those guys need replacing. It's not like that's just money out and you're just like, okay, bye, and you don't need them anymore. You're going to need to replace them. So
roughly $6 million worth of replacement, not including Taves.
And that's the only thing. The only thing where I would say that does not become a major factor is if Landeskog's recovery does not go well, his career is over.
You have a magic $7 million. Yeah.
And that becomes $7 million that you're able to use moving forward. Then that's really the only thing that would keep it from, I think, saying, "Hey, we have hard decisions to make here."
Yeah.
This is what we're gonna do. I think the Avs will try and wait it out as long as they can, but I think this is probably out of necessity. If Landeskog is healthy,
it's one or the other kind of a situation. Yeah.
I think it's probably going to have to be Girard's last year in Colorado.
Yeah. The reality of the business sometimes. That's the way things go. We are brought to you by Breckenridge Brewery, the official beer of DNVR. You can get yourself a Palisade peach for summer. Get them while they're hot. The peaches don't last forever here in Colorado. They go pretty quick. So jump on it. Get that. Of course, 8 different kinds on tap down here at the bar. If you're a big fan, August 18th, we are doing a live show down at the bar. You can come watch the show live. Come say hi. We'll do meet and greet with everybody who comes down. So keep your eyes peeled for more info on that, on the timings of the show and everything. But August 18th, mark your calendars. AJ, anything else you wanted to add to today's show?
I was going to hit you with some Fun Fact Friday stuff.
Oh, God, here we go.
I've got one fun fact that I will throw at you because I found it out as I was falling asleep last night and it's fresh in my brain. And I also think it's cool. But do you happen to know which movie was the first one to come out on DVD in the United States?
No idea on DVD.
Yeah? It's Twister.
What? Why?
Right place, right time, I guess.
Oh, that's the most random thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
That's not even going to help me. Like, I'm going to forget that, and then it's going to be a trivia question someday. I'm going to be like, I used to know this.
Come on, you just need to keep in mind it was the movie with the flying cow.
That doesn't narrow it down enough.
What? How many?
Wizard of Oz? Sharknado?
Man, Sharknado really does throw a wrench in it. Yeah. Did you actually watch those movies?
I watched the first 2 and then I stopped.
I love that they recognized
how much of a meme they were. Yeah.
They were like, this is absurd, right? And everybody was like, yes. And they were like, great, we're going to make 4 of them. Yeah. I think it's, I don't know. I think something like that where they just lean into the chaos is like respect.
Okay. On that note, we are going to get out of here for today. We appreciate all y'all hanging out with us this week. We are off this weekend, but we will be back Monday with more podcasts, more fun, more awesomeness. Yeah, that's all I got to say. We appreciate y'all, and we will see you on the next one.